Have you ever faced a brutal winter storm, huddled under blankets, thermostat cranked high, and wondered how our ancestors endured without modern comforts? In the harsh medieval world, peasants didn't just survive the bone-chilling nights. They thrived through sheer ingenuity and unbreakable resolve. As Stoics like Marcus Aurelius remind us, true strength lies not in complaining about the cold, but in adapting to it with wisdom and preparation. These humble folk embodied Stoic principles. They controlled what they could, their homes, routines, and communities, while accepting nature's indifference. Today, we'll uncover their secrets. We'll draw timeless lessons to fortify your own resilience. Let's dive in. Remember, as Epictetus taught, it's not the events that disturb us, but our views of them. For medieval peasants, winter wasn't a curse. It was an opportunity to master adversity. Start with their homes, the first line of defense against winter's assault. Forget the flimsy shacks of fairy tales. These were fortresses of fortitude, dug 2 to 3 feet into the earth like ancient bunkers. This wasn't mere convenience. It was a stoic embrace of nature's gifts. By burrowing into the ground, they harnessed the earth's stable warmth. Recent archaeological studies confirm this. Kept interiors 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than surface homes. Imagine facing a blizzard, not with fear, but with the calm assurance that you've built your refuge wisely. Their windows were minuscule, barely head-sized. Ceilings were low not from poverty alone, but from a deliberate design to trap heat. It was much like a Stoic focuses inward on virtues rather than outward distractions. No drafts wasted precious warmth. Every element served survival. Insulation came from wattle and daub weave of twigs, slathered with clay, straff, and yes, animal manure. It sounds primitive, but this resourceful plaster rivaled modern fiberglass in efficiency, per experimental recreations. Stoics would applaud this approach. They turned waste into wealth, accepting the unglamorous for the greater good. Walls that breathed, roofs thatched steeply to shed snow without collapse. These homes were living lessons in adaptation, oriented toward the sun's winter path. They maximized natural light and heat. This proved that true warmth starts with alignment to reality, not resistance. And that smoky interior, the hearth's haze formed an insulating layer. It warded off insects and rot. Extending roof, life twofold. Sure, it stung the eyes, but as Seneca might say, endure the smoke to enjoy the fire. Discomfort builds endurance. At the heart of it all stood the central hearth, a blazing emblem of communal spirit and practical genius. More than a fire pit, it cooked meals, warmed bodies, and fostered stories. It was much like Stoic dialogues around a shared table. Digs from 1300 sites reveal these hearths sustained 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit indoors amid freezing exteriors. That was chilly by our standards, but a triumph of resilience. Families arranged sleeping spots away from drafts. They angled roofs precisely for snow management. It was feng shui for survival. Every placement was intentional. Every decision was a step towards self-mastery. Modern architects might envy how these homes regulated humidity better than drywall. They prevented mold with breathable walls. And those thatched roofs, they were superior to flat modern ones that buckle under snow. Yet, challenges abounded: smoke-filled air, constant repère, fire risks. But peasants pressed on. They embodied Stoic indifference to external woes. Their homes evolved over centuries, from simple 800 AD street ruptures to sophisticated 1300s havens. Each generation refined through trial and error. This slow, steadfast improvement mirrors Stoic practice. Daily virtues compound into wisdom. Seasonal tweak-spatching walls with fresh daub, layering thatch, hanging skins for extra insulation, turned autumn into a ritual of readiness. Blankets became peasant tapestries. Single rooms were efficient heat hubs. In our age of fragmented living, these unified spaces teach us to consolidate energy, focus on what truly warms the soul, purpose and presence. But architecture alone wasn't enough. Daily life demanded a rhythm as disciplined as a Stoic's routine. Medieval peasants orchestrated their days with precision. They synced with the sun's arc to maximize warmth and efficiency. No lazy mornings here. Rise before dawn, but not for toil alone. They embraced first sleep and second sleep. They woke around midnight for quiet tasks or visits, then rested till light. Doctors of the 1300s prescribed this biphasic pattern for health. It aligned with natural cycles. In winter's grip, it conserved energy. This was much like Stoics advise, guarding your inner resources against external drains. The high sun window from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. was sacred. It was peak warmth for communal work. Manor records from 1,267 find dawdlers, enforcing collective discipline. One English village demanded firewood donations from repeat offenders. This wasn't tyranny, but Stoic communal virtue. Your slack endangers all. Frost watches rotated nightly. Families tended. Fires per manor rolls. Miss your shift. Pay in eggs or chickens. Horn blasts signaled plunging temperatures. It was a primitive yet effective alert system. Meals synced too. Main feasts at 11 a.m. around blazing communal ovens, baking 100 loaves. This raised village warmth by 3 degrees Celsius. Bread bells rang for optimal heat. It turned necessity into symphony. Afternoons shifted indoors. Post 2 p.m. Cold watchers monitored using freezing pots as gauges. Point systems penalized outdoor lingerers. This promoted indoor productivity. Twilight councils in the largest homes gathered dozens. Their body heat boosted rooms by 5 degrees. These were efficient meetings where warmth fueled wisdom. Bedtimes rotated. The last family banked fires and checked others. They donated fuel for negligence. A 1,289 record punished a sleepy checker with half his firewood. It was harsh, but a reminder that vigilance is virtue. In our distracted world, these schedules teach Stoic time mastery. Align actions with nature, not whim, for unbreakable resilience. With routines locked in, food preservation became their next fortress against famine. Underground pits maintained 40 degrees year-round. They outshone modern root cellars in stability. Yorkshire villages boasted 4 pits per household. These were personal fridges, sans electricity. Vegetables doubled as thermometers. Frost on carrots signaled more insulation. Sprouting meant better vents. A 1,283 manuscript ranked veggies by cold tolerance. It was a proto-sensor system. Hay-wrapped homes and layered around storage created thermal gradients. This stabilized temps by 6 degrees per 3 layers. It was physics without formulas. Snow, far from foe, packed against containers for weeks-long chill. It mimicked thermal mass principles predating science. Multi-chamber pits featured drainage, vents, and humidity pots at 85 to 95%. These were engineering marvels. Seeds stayed viable for 700 years. They sprouted medieval turnips in 1960s labs. DNA studies reveal hardier crops than today's. Rotation moved foods between zones per 1,292 records. penalties applied for non-compliance. The fools' test-tasting samples rotationally averted illnesses. It saved villages. These weren't guesses. Generations logged observations like Stoic journals. They passed wisdom forward. In uncertainty, they controlled preparation. This echoed Aurelius. Focus on your actions, not outcomes. Preserved bounty fueled winter cuisine. It was a caloric arsenal against cold. Doctors prescribed 4 daub, 0 calorie daily. These were Olympic levels to stoke inner fires. Pottage simmered endlessly. Layers included roots for energy base, beans for protein, grains for quick fuel per 1200. 86 rules. Residue analysis shows balanced nutrition surpassing modern diets. Fermented goods thick beer at 400 calories per pint. Probiotic packed preserves boasted 10x strains over today's. They fostered gut microbiomes, diverse as ancient remains prove. Dense. Fermented bread packed fiber. Overcooked porridge boosted calorie access by 30%. Winter diets doubled fats and proteins. They were timed for dawn energy, midday sustain, evening warmth. This aligned with chronobiology. This wasn't gluttony, but Stoic fuel for fortitude. Eat to endure, not indulge. Adjust by frost signs thrice the fat for double bite spur. 1,297 teachings. In abundance scarce times. They maximized every bite. It's a lesson for our wasteful era. True nourishment builds resilience from within. As Epictetus might add, your body is the vessel. Fuel it wisely to weather any storm. Sleep, too, was communal armor. Platforms for 6. Semi-reclined to cut cold exposure by 30%. This raised body heat by 8 degrees Celsius. Inspectors find spreaders per 1,289 records. Efficiency over comfort. Layered insulation straw. Wool at 15-degree angles. Minimized loss by 40%. Platforms 18 inches high. Evaded floor chill. Above cattle, pens for underfloor heat. Tilted bowls prevented rolls. Rotations during first sleep maintained warmth. Spooning raised temps. 2 degrees. Manor diagrams detailed this dance. It was unconscious choreography of care. Stoics see beauty here. Shared burdens. Lighten loads. Vulnerability. Bonds. Strength. Clothing amplified this warmth. Unwashed wool retained lanolin for 40%. Better waterproofing per 1,267 texts. 5 layers trapped air. Fibers directional for max insulation effective. 6 hours in freeze. Moss stuffed for antimicrobial padding. Fat rubbed with sap for 3-month resistance, rivaling modern formulas. Nettle wool wicked moisture at 40% modern efficiency. Hoods cut wind chill, 60%. Pointy shoes, 25% less. Foot loss. Herb chests repelled moths antibacterially. Rotations by nature. Signs blackberries withering hit. 85% forecast accuracy. Spinning bees warmed rooms 6 degrees while crafting. Community as heater. When layers faltered, animals joined indoors. Cows boosted 2 to 3 degrees each. Totals to 10. Zones by heat cows near beds. Pigs' storage created greenhouse humidity at 60%. This extended food life 3 weeks. Platforms maximized currents. 1,288 ranking scow. 4. Sheep accurate within 5%. Composting floors added 1 to 2 degrees. Antiseptic 2. Feeding chutes. Cut loss 60%. Ratios per family size, per ciento, 29, 1500, 60%, livestock efficiency, Stoic harmony, animals as partners, not possessions, in nature's and different dance. Seneca would nod. Use what's at hand to build your fortress. Communities sealed, survival. Frost wardens, planned from summer. Wood teams rotated weekly with points per 1,293 notches. Halls airlocked against winds, reducing loss 45%. Watches used pot frost gauges accurate to 2 degrees. Schedules optimized body heat. Churches' calefactories warmed vulnerable by 8 degrees. Baking sequences saved 60% fuel. Tunnels, hot rocks, innovated locally. Welfare tracked the needy elderly. Sick for support. This interdependence echoes Stoic cosmopolitanism. We're all citizens of the world, surviving together. Medieval peasants didn't conquer winter with magic. They did it with Stoic virtues. Preparation, adaptation, community. In our heated homes, we forget resilience's forge, but apply their lessons. Build inner fortresses. Sync with nature. Share burdens. As Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let winter's fury refine you. Embrace it and emerge unbreakable. If this inspired you, subscribe to Lab Stoic for more timeless wisdom. What's your winter resilience ritual? Share below. Stay strong.